Welcome to the Noble 23 podcast. All right. Robert Reid, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good, dude. So we've never actually met before.
Nope, first time.
So you're new to the county.
Yes.
How long what class were you in?
So I was in the class of 2022, 23. I think we came out as like the 01 is how they split it up. So I've been on the job since February.
Okay. So what's it now? October, 8 months?
Yeah.
Okay. How you liking it?
So far, so good. Took some adjusting at first, but it's gotten to a good point for sure now.
What would you say is like the hardest part of like adjusting?
Just if you've never had a schedule like that where you're gone from the house for 24 hours, it's a big change.
The 24, 48?
For sure. But if you have had jobs before where you're away, it's probably not a huge difference. Just being accustomed to switching from like, oh, I work 8 hours, and then, oh, okay, I'm working, I won't see you at all today kind of thing, like your family and stuff. Yeah.
Be back tomorrow.
Yeah. I hope everything's good, good luck today, and then see you the next day.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Where are you stationed at?
On paper, it's Station 6.
On paper.
So, on paper,
So you're floating a lot?
Yeah, so wherever I'm needed that day for sure.
Okay. How you liking 6?
When I'm there, great crew, great time, get to learn a lot, get to do a lot. Surprisingly, when I'm there, we do have some calls, which is nice, and it's been busier than some of the stations I've been floated to. So when I do get to be there, I appreciate it.
Nice.
But it's not very often.
You finding like the work-life balance?
Oh, yeah.
Easy?
For the most part, you could always make some room for improvement, of course, But for the most part, yeah, I'd say so.
So, one of the funniest things that I thought, like, when we were, like, texting, like, you had initially messaged me on Messenger, and then I was just like, hey, I was like, just text me. I was like, here's my number. I was like, I don't really, like, I'll download Messenger and delete it over and over again, just because I just don't like it on my phone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you're like, hey, can I call you? And I just thought that was, like, just very typical of, like, your generation, like, I guess like the millennial generation, like, yeah, we still talked on the phones, and like, but like the younger generation is like, oh, I just want to text.
Yeah,
it was just funny that you had to ask that. I was like, hey, do you actually talk on your phone?
Some people they aren't big like on the phone talkers, but It's just easier to ask a question and be like, hey, how do you feel about this? And you're like, well, this is what I think. Just rolls off the tongue. It's easier. It's simple versus a text, and then like it's just easier. Just dedicate a little bit of time to a phone call versus like. A conversation over text will take like 30 minutes. Where on the phone, it would have been like quick little 5 minutes.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you put the phone down for a minute and you come back and you're like, oh, I got to text
other
again.
Stuff's going on.
Like we were just texting.
It's like, just take 5 minutes and be like, hey, this is my answer to the question, etc. And then, oh, okay, cool. It works out.
So you texted me about running.
Oh, yeah.
So like you said like Who signed you up for a half marathon?
So my girlfriend's mom is like a big runner, and I started running September 3rd. Okay. So I'm a month into this whole world of running.
So you didn't do any kind of running, like say before recruit school, where you started like running the laps and stuff?
No, not really. I did short distance for track.
Okay.
In high school, just freshman year. So.
What would you define as short distance?
So like 100 meter, 200 meter.
Okay.
So
like
like
real short.
No, not even
sprints.
Like I think they considered mid distance like 800 meter, 400 meter. So that's like 1 or 2 laps around like a standard like track. But I did like the 100
What's
meter.
What's one
relay.
lap?
400 meters.
And that's like what, a quarter mile?
Yes. Yeah. So a mile would have been 4 laps around one of those tracks. So never anything really far. Okay. So this was like a big change. For sure.
So from short distance to getting into longer distances.
To like, I'm going to be running for like an hour and a half straight.
So what made you, like, what made her get onto you about running her?
People have things where they're like, oh, I'm just not good at that.
Right.
I'm not good at that. I'm not going to even try. Like, nope. Or like, oh, my knee's bad. I can't do that sort of thing. And for me, I was like, am I bad at that? You know what I mean? Like, have I ever actually pushed myself and tried that kind of thing? So I was like, I was watching the YouTuber I sent you, Cody Co, just completed an Ironman, and I was like,
I watched it. It was cool.
It's kind of cool just to see, and just seeing how happy he was running, and he ran before the Ironman, so that was like, okay. So I asked myself, I was like, am I bad at this? And I was like, I'm going to try. And
or do I just not know?
Right. Do I not know? And do I just make excuses like, oh, I'm terrible at this? Like, oh, it's awful. So I was like, okay. My girlfriend's mom's like, fantastic, like running for years. She's done the Boston Marathon, just all kinds of stuff, multiple times. And I was like, okay, well, I have someone that I could ask and just see like, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, well, half marathon in November. She's like, right now you're 1 week short of like what people would consider like a traditional training plan. She's like, but you could do it. And I was like, So I ran once, and I was like, oh, okay. And I've just been pushing myself more and more, and I've actually fallen in love with it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I know you asked.
Does your girlfriend run?
She doesn't. She,
Okay.
Before I was running, we were doing, like, weightlifting, like, pretty seriously, just trying to gain a little bit of size, trying to gain some weight, and she's still sort of in that. And so that's kind of like her peace and her enjoyment, and we try to go together, but when you say the work-life balance, I've got that part kind of figured out, but I'm struggling with the running and the weights right now is like the big like kind of thing, I guess.
You're putting more time into the running versus the weights. Okay.
Because when you go from lifting, say like 5 or 6 days a week, with how our schedule say 5 or 6 days, and then you try to incorporate running, it can be difficult to feel like you're getting enough of both. It's like, oh, okay, I'm very pleased with how much time I've spent weightlifting this week. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I had like 2 or 3 good solid runs this week. But the closer I got to the actual race coming up, it started to be more important. Right. It's like, okay, if I get 1 or 2 workouts in this week, that's okay. We're almost a month away, a couple of days shy of a month away. And I'm like, at this point, I don't even care if I pick up a weight until after I cross the finish line. Like I want to focus on the race.
Well, I mean, still do that, obviously. Like you still got to do like some strength conditioning, and just don't push yourself as hard on the gym part.
Yeah, that's definitely recently. That's what I've figured out was working best. Like just going for the enjoyment, and any physical gains is just like a plus. Because when you are in the gym and like you're not running and that's what you're doing, it's like you're like, okay, I'm gonna meal prep, I'm gonna weigh this, I'm gonna count my calories, and you're really focused on what you're gonna get out of it.
Right.
And then it just kind of takes the enjoyment out of it because there's so many things that get tacked on. You're just like, oh, but
dude, that's running for me now.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I mean, I'm not calorie counting, but like I'm very mindful of what I eat, and I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, I got the long run coming up on the weekend. Like I need to start like carb loading.
Yeah, you got
2 or 3 days ahead of time. Because I mean, like, dude, I'm learning from the school of YouTube right now, like everything, and just like some other people that I've just like run into, just getting tips and tricks from them. But me, dude, it's school of YouTube, just learning from these other guys that are like, oh yeah, I run 2:15 marathons. I'm like, okay, this guy obviously knows what he's doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just a little bit amount of time I talked to you, and the way you were talking, I was like, this guy has got like structure, like down. I just seemed like you had like a game plan for everything, and I was like, I envied that. I was like, wow,
dude. Like, I mean, you got a plan when you go into the gym,
right?
So like, you've come up with that. Like or do you follow one, or did you just like develop one over time? And like, but every time you go into the gym now, it's like, hey, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to prep for it. I'm going to bring my supplements, all that stuff, the protein. I got the exact set of exercises that I'm going to do, sets, reps. You know what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, for the most part. It took some time to get used to, and I guess that's how it's going to be for running as well, And I definitely foresee it being capable to get that way with running and weightlifting still. But, it took some time to figure out, because you can do multiple exercises for the same thing. You got to figure out what you like,
right?
What works best for you, and just kind of switch it up. That's the thing, is like a lot of people don't switch it up. Like they do the same set of exercises, they start to kind of like not push themselves, and it's just kind of, it's unfortunate because they could really just tweak, 1 or 2 things and make a huge difference, and like their gains essentially. And I'm sure there's something along the lines that would translate to that with running.
So what was that for you? Like just coming in like as a new gym goer and developing that plan for yourself. Like what did you tweak that started getting results?
What I always tell people when they ask is, when you try something new in the gym, or I guess for like say you, I don't really know how to compare it to running quite yet because it's like sort of a new thing, but
don't.
For me, it was being able to try a new exercise, like say a totally new machine. It's like, oh, I'm kind of scared of that thing. I want to try that. And then usually the first time you do something, you don't like it. You're like, like that didn't feel right. That didn't hurt. But what I always tell people, I'm like, try it twice. Like try it today. And then say you're on a 3-day workout split. On your next thing, try it again. And usually if it's hard or it's uncomfortable, it ends up being a game changer because that's your body telling you like, whoa, like I haven't been worked this certain way and it needs it. You know what I mean? I have a buddy, Mike Mullet. He always says to me that every machine works your body slightly different, like just a little bit, like just gravity, certain positioning, core engage. It's just every machine is different. That's 100% true. So it's just a matter of getting out of your comfort zone because you find a routine and you're like, okay, this is what's working. But then to step out of that, it kind of stinks. You know, you're like, I don't want to give it up because I'm comfortable. So that's probably the biggest thing for sure is just being able to be like, to call yourself out on that and be like, hey, I need to switch things up a little bit.
Right. Nice. You said you go like 5-6 days a week?
I was. Now I'm lifting. I'm running about 3 or 4 times a week, and I am weightlifting probably once or twice right now. It's kind of unfortunate, but
when you were doing the 5 to 6, like were you doing like a push day, a pull day, or were you just like isolating certain groups?
I had a split going where it was chest, back, and then shoulders and arms, and then legs. And I was hitting legs twice a week, and then for 6 days. So that'd be for 6 days, everything was getting hit twice.
Okay.
But say the first chest and back day was very heavy, less reps, just more compound, just focus, just more sort of focus. And then the second chest and back day would be more like time under tension, lighter weight, just more controlled reps versus like, so like one would be like strength and then one would be more of like endurance or like more like a contraction, like a, almost like a hold, like just better focused on engagement and form.
Okay.
And then, so it's like, let's test our strength today. And then the next one will be like, let's check our form. Let's just really get a nice contraction, like a feel good.
Okay.
Instead of just more focused on like the numbers.
Nice. Cool. So you said like now you're running like 2-3 times a week?
Mm-hmm. For the most part. On a good week, 3 times a week. And I have ran up to 4 or done some sort of endurance training up to 4 times a week.
Yeah, I'm running like 5 times a week.
Nice.
Right now. But I mean, I'm just like following that plan.
Yeah,
like,
you said it was the Nike.
Yeah, the Nike Run
app?
Club.
Okay.
I was like looking through it the other day, just kind of like the achievements and just kind of like the record, and you kind of like just check your data and everything. And I had like this like 10-year gap almost. Like I used it like in 2008, and then there was like nothing for
no records, like no data
for a long time. And then
awesome.
it's just like then it starts just like stacking up, and I was like, oh dang! I was like, I knew I was running. I guess I wasn't recording it through the app. But yeah, and like now it's just. I was trying to find something to follow and just like have a game plan because I've never run a marathon, but like I've on multiple occasions just like I'm gonna go out and run, and then I end up running 10 or 12 miles.
Nice.
And
that's incredible. That's a long. People don't understand. People that don't run don't get it.
I paid the price for it because like my knees and everything. It's just like I hadn't conditioned up to that. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna run, just like Forrest Gump style. Like I felt like running, and then afterwards you're like, oh my god, like that was a mistake.
The most eye opening thing for me, what I've noticed thus far, is the rotation of injuries, and because it's not long enough to be an injury, but it's just like random parts of your body hurt. And then you run again, and you're like, oh, like, okay, my right knee felt good. My new one right now is like back of my shoulder blade. I'll be running, and I'll get up to like mile 6, and it's just like whomp. And I'm like, why? Blades. Yeah, I don't know why. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's something new every run, or then it's like ankle or your knee, or you get a shin splint. It's just like, gosh.
Are you stretching?
Before the run, but not after.
Are you doing like active or like dynamic stretching?
Probably.
Do you know the difference?
I don't know the difference.
Oh, okay. So like
I was trying to guess. I was
that's fine. Like active stretching is like when you're holding a stretch.
Okay, active
versus like dynamic, just being kind of like, just a quick movement just to get yourself like opened up.
Active, so making sure like hamstrings, shins.
Don't do that.
Don't do the active.
Yeah,
okay.
That was like I'd always done that, and then I'm like, school of YouTube. They're like, don't do that. Like do dynamic stretches. Just like do these quick little exercises. And it's all movement based, and it's just designed to like open you up without actually like stretching that muscle so much like as a quick hold.
Okay.
Or, sorry, a long hold. And then it's like, it's like when you stretch, you're actually like tearing the muscle slightly. Like you're doing just a little bit of damage, but like it helps in the long run. Well, you don't want to do that right before the run.
So is that like a post-run type of stretch?
Do that. Do the long stretches after the run. Do the dynamic movements before the run.
Okay, so
and just like starting off slow, like warm-ups and everything. That's like the best way to even just run is just start running. Just go nice and slow and just kind of like open up those hips, those legs, and
gradually
do some butt kicks and
gradually get to the pace and that you want to go to. Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But yeah, dude, the plan has been the biggest game changer for me. Is like following. So like each week for me like starts off with like 2 recoveries.
Okay.
And then you get a rest day, and then you get the speed workout or a tempo workout or whatever. And that's what I did yesterday. So I did 5 10-minute pace runs with a 2-minute rest interval in between.
Okay.
So I'd just be like booking it at like a 6 or 7 out of 10 effort down the road, and then I'd just be walking for 2 minutes, and then you pick it right back up. And obviously the first 2 or 3 are like they're pretty easy, but by the time you get to the 4th and the 5th, you're like, okay,
right,
it's starting to work.
I have just been mainly doing just distance, and the reason why that is because I'm terrified. My biggest thing is that I'm gonna get to this race. The gun goes off or whatever. The start go right. Your nerves, your adrenaline, and I do not want to take off and then do like really well, like first 3 or 4 miles, and then be like, uh-oh, I've got like 8, 9 more miles to go, and it's just like, oh gosh,
Start slow,
right?
Start slow. Dude, that was like what I did on like Army fitness or like PT tests every time. It's like everybody like takes off and I just start slow, and you just like slowly build speed, and then I would just like start lapping people or passing by them, and I'm just like, that gave me motivation because it's like I wanted to pass as many people as possible.
Right.
So it's just kind of like a little mind game. It's just like, okay, start slow, get warmed up, get those legs moving, and then let's see how many people we can beat.
That's cool. I didn't even think about this, but that first day I started talking to you, and we were talking about, you were like, I don't do crowds, like for the races and stuff. I was like, what does he mean?
It's not that I don't do crowds. It's just I don't like crowds.
Right.
And you get into these big races. Like I've done the Peachtree Road Race before multiple times.
Okay.
Very popular 10K. It's always on July 4th in Atlanta.
Okay.
But it's just slam full of people.
Really?
So it's like you got to imagine like out here, I'm running these like country roads and everything. Nobody's out here.
Yeah, you said there's literally like no traffic. Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
And it's just me and the road versus a race day where you're like weaving in and out of people. You can't get your pace until like the race like really starts to open up and you start getting that distance. You're kind of doing that like a little shuffle where you're like small steps to like position yourself to like get around somebody. And it's just like, I've never done a marathon before, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this on my own.
That's not a bad idea though.
And if I like it, then I'll like sign up for it, because like I wasn't in it for the medal or like the validation of it. It's just like, hey, can I do it?
Yeah,
can I run
a
marathon?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of what I've told myself is I'm like, okay, my goal, I've never done one of these before. It's like, I'm not concerned about time. So that's why I've kind of not been sticking to a plan so much. Is my biggest fear is like, I want to make sure I can do this without stopping. That's my first thing.
Well, you don't have to worry about time so much, but you still got to like put down those miles and like train yourself accordingly.
Right. That my biggest thing is I was like, I want to make sure that I can do this I want to do it without stopping. I want to consistently run. And my other thing was that I didn't realize is what you explained to me about the people and the crowds, because I've started running at the park, and it's kind of like, oh gosh, what's that called? Like, you know, like the Indian run?
Yeah.
Like the person in the back, like, sprints to the front.
Yeah.
And, and that's kind of what I've been doing at the park is, like, when I come up on somebody, I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to have to kick it up a notch and get around them and get, like, a certain distance in front of them so I'm not, like, right behind them, or right in front of them, excuse me. And I realized, I was like, that's kind of like a little speed training on this distance run. I was like, and I enjoyed it, and I was like, maybe I should start doing that kind of training, like the speed, like, slow, and then boom, burst of speed, and then get back, and then just work on that. And I just recently saw a TikTok about the recovery runs and how those are like, that's like up there with your sleep and your diet, like your recovery runs.
Like today I got a recovery run, and all it is like 30 minutes.
I'm excited to do it because I've never like just done like a take it easy run. Every run I've done, it's been like, okay, this is week, whatever. Like this week is 8 miles.
Yeah.
Tuesday I ran 8 miles. Fastest I've ran. So I was like, okay, that's good. But I know if I were to try to, like if I try to do 8 miles, say Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, I know hopefully it'll go well. But usually it doesn't. It won't go as well before because what I've been researching is you're only supposed to have like 1 to 2 distance runs a week.
Yeah.
So I was always wondering, like, why is this not, like, I did this earlier in the week. Why is it not? Why is it not doing the same thing? And
you're
it's
stacking
like,
them too close together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to like I was saying earlier, it was like the plan wise, it's like, yeah, yesterday I had the tempo run, and then today will be a recovery run. Tomorrow's a rest day, and then Sunday now, I the way I have it scheduled out, it's like the long runs are always on the weekend.
On the weekends, okay.
And then it resets. So, like last week I did a half marathon. And
I think I saw that. That was a pretty solid time.
Thank you.
On your story. I was like, yes.
And I actually beat like my previous time. And what I was most excited about was like the first time I did it was in the desert, like overseas, no elevation. There's probably like 5-10 feet of elevation change, like nothing at all, negligible. Then I go to like 1,000 plus.
I was gonna say, what's the elevation on that? The one you just did? You said it was 1,000 plus.
I think it was like 1066 something. It's just like up, down, and I still beat my previous time.
And you beat the time?
Yeah, and I was like,
holy moly, yes. That's awesome, dude.
But yeah, it's like, dude, those recovery runs, like those first 2 recovery runs of the week post long run, they suck sometimes. It's like you just don't even want to run.
Oh,
but that starts to create that discipline of like, okay, I got to get out there.
Right.
I got to do this.
Right. That's good. I mean, that's good to know. And like I said, I saw your run stories, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna ask this guy what's up because he's running and you're doing good and you're making distance. And I was looking at your stats. I was like, okay, well, I don't know who else to ask. Like, I would love to ask somebody, especially that works in the profession I do, if I could get some, like, A, like running advice, and B, how do you do it around the job? And then I realized that running is like your thing. So for you, it's like the weights or like maybe like an on shift thing or like an occasional thing.
I do it before shift.
Right.
So it's like tomorrow's shift for me. So it just so happens to be a rest day, so I don't have to run.
Right.
But normally it's like our schedule always like is rotating. So it's like I got to balance it out. Sometimes I get an extra rest day or I don't get a rest day. Just depending on how it lines up and everything. But yeah, it's just like, dude, I get up, I wake up at 5:00, drive an hour down, and I get in my run before shift.
Nice.
Sometimes it's like I got like an extra 30, 45 minutes before shift. Sometimes it's like, okay, now I got like 20 minutes. And like I'm like ending a run at 7:10. Like the tempo run I did, like I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Dude, I wish I woke up at just like 4:00, and like I woke up at 4:30 because I knew it would be longer. I should have just woken up at 4 because, dude, I was getting kind of close to the 7:30. Yeah, I was like, I mean, I still made it like with like I think like 10 minutes left, but I was like, that's a little close for me. I don't really like that.
Yeah,
I don't like the rush.
Yeah.
I'd much rather just get up early, suck it up, get it done.
I'm a sleep in guy, unfortunately, but that is coming to an end. just as I'm getting older, and just like you said, if you want to get something done, it's like you just got to get up early, man.
Get more time in the
morning. You got to make it happen.
Nobody's bothering you at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's true. My girlfriend and I always go back and forth on this as far as like when we first met, she was going to the gym like getting up at 4, right? So like kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I was getting off work at like 10:30, 11 at night, and I was going around to the gym. I was going to that time. I was like, okay, no. And we were saying the same thing, right? We're like, no one's up, no one's bothering, but it's just like opposite.
Yeah.
So like we would be agreeing, we'd be like, yeah. But then the person's like, I like going to bed early, and I'm like, just different work schedules and stuff, but same reason. So
did you guys eventually like
when we
find a rotation that worked for you?
Yeah, we were able to make something work to where it was like we would try to go like early-ish on days that were available, like say 8 or 9, like we didn't have work or something, and then if we did have work, we would be like, okay, let's go in the morning. So like a good balance of like super early, and then sometimes like evenings. And obviously if we were to go to the gym in the evening, we would not go like super early the next morning, if that makes sense, because that's like not even enough time to recover. But with me doing running, like I said, it's changed how I lift, how often I lift, but it's been good changes. I'm enjoying the change. It's just I was hesitant at first, because you do something for so long, it's like wow, this has been really good for me. Is this what I want?
Dude, it's same thing. It's like I was getting up early. I was just running, and then I would be doing like afternoon or like really like pre-lunch workouts at the station. So I was like getting in 2-a-days for pretty strict there for a while, and now running is. I saw this thing the other day. It's like running has gotten to the point where it's my entire personality trait.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was for me with the gym, unfortunately, and because you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
but it's hard because it's like when you are that passionate about something and you enjoy it that much, it's like okay.
Well, like some days it's like you really enjoy it, and then some days you're like, I don't want to do this, but it's like I've committed to it, so it's like I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, that's what I keep asking myself is I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen after this race.
Yeah,
because that's like my goal right now is like the race, and that's what's really helping me stay focused, train. So maybe that's like what running will be for me, is just like maybe I'll take a little bit of time. I say that there's no way I'm gonna be able to stop running. I know that for a fact because I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I'll just do this race and then, wait a little bit, and then maybe I'll do it again, the same one next year. But I was like, no, like, it's not, I already know.
Have you seen the things that, like, the memes are like, a 5K leads to a 10K, which leads to a half, which leads to a full, and then leads to 100-milers. Oh, my God.
It's hilarious. My girlfriend's mom was like, yeah, you can start with she's like, well, you're athletic, and you grew up running track. Yeah, she was like, most people don't start with a half marathon. And I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do. It's like now I have to because like I just, just being competitive and just being stubborn. It's like I want to start with that. She's like, and then, you're going to want to run a full. And maybe a month ago, like when I started, I was like, whoa, now. Like, let's just get through the half first. But I'm not even done with the half yet. And I'm like, dang it.
Dude, I'm not even done with the full marathon yet. And I'm already thinking like.
You're talking ultra, were you not?
Yeah. Like, I was just like, it's already in my head. I'm like, I could do this.
See, I'm not ultra yet, but ask me next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you don't know what you're going to get into, but it's all good changes. But like I said, it's just scary because you're scared to, I don't know why. I was scared that I was going to, like, lose all definition, but, like, running makes you so active.
Yeah. Even
though you feel like it doesn't, like, it's great, man.
Did you check out that guy that I told you about, Nick Bear?
I did. Dude,
he's jacked.
Dude.
And he's running, like, marathons ultras.
I just watched that Cody Co guy.
Yeah.
Just did a video with him. Like, on that he has that Cody Trains channel, and it's him training for races or whatever. He said, the title was Running with Nick. Like, I don't know who Nick is. And then there's Nick Bear. I was like, oh, I do know who Nick Bear is. And that guy is jacked. And he said something in the video I watched yesterday, and it was he was like, yeah, I was running this race, and this lady It was like he did like 100 miles, that's what an ultra is, right?
No, ultra technically is anything over a marathon.
Anything over. Okay, so he did some 100-mile race.
Yeah.
And he got to the 50 mark, and then they were supposed to turn around. And some lady yelled at him like, "You're making us look bad. Like those biceps don't belong on this course." That guy is jacked. Like
he's big.
For
I
him
mean, like
to
he's
run,
got like fitness is his entire career. Because he's got like his own supplement.
He has
company.
supplements, right? He has supplements, and he's running, and
I mean, he was like a ranger beforehand, Army Ranger.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Then he got like into bodybuilding, and then he starts like getting into running, starts doing marathons. Then he gets into the ultra marathon, and now he's like trying to like get down from like the whatever his original time frame was to like a sub 3, and now I think he's like down into like the 2s, and I'm like, oh my god, like how are you running with that much like weight on you?
I don't know. That's hard because
insane.
It sounds funny, but I was like watching the video yesterday and watching him run, and like his, when you run, like his chest is like bouncing like up and down. And I'm like, gosh, he's like, he needs a training bra. Like he might need like a sports bra or something. And then
like he was like one of the videos he was talking about like the body glide stuff, like how you gotta like put it in between your legs because like your legs get the friction and everything like that. He's got to put it on his lats because his arms are rubbing on his back because his back is so huge.
Yeah, first world problems, man. Like that poor guy. You know what I mean? Poor guy,
dude.
So what I can't comprehend about that is how he's able to keep all of that size, because even me, I've been running for a month and I've noticed maybe like 5 or 6 pounds less, but I mean, he constantly looks full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he looks like he's running with an upper body pump, and I'm like, how do you do that? But he's just that big. You know what I mean?
But I mean, he trains that way. Like his current
he's insane.
Kind of what's it called? Little YouTube series he's doing is like hybrid athlete.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna bring that up. So like I told you, like we've got it on camera, we've got it on film. September 3rd, I started running. I don't know if it's just like hybrid athletes have always been like a thing, but now it's like almost becoming trendy, and like
it's kind of like the next evolution of like CrossFit in a way. Almost.
Right. It's.
You don't want to be one-dimensional. It's like you want to be a threat in multiple aspects.
Right, and the thing about a hybrid athlete is, like for us, it's like we probably associate it with like a weightlifter and a runner. But I've seen people on TikTok where it's like people that only bike. Like they bike and they lift weights, but they have a good balance of both. But it got really trendy to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, gym. I didn't bring it. I brought it, but it's in my car. But I have like a gym brand hoodie. They did like a collab with Marvel. It's like Dark Sport and Spider-Man. So it's like a Spider-Man hoodie and their like lifting brand. Super cool. But it like became trendy to go to the gym. And now
gym culture has become a thing.
It's like it is a lifestyle, and it is okay. And like there's a lot of say like people my age or younger that like got their hearts broken by a girl or something, and they're like sad, and it's like, have you ever seen the movie Blade Runner?
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling's looking up at the girl, and she's like, "You look lonely," and it's like broken-hearted boy, and then looking up, it's like the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this whole like gym rat stigma.
It's like broken-hearted.
Right.
Good.
Yeah. Literally.
It shows
It's like, you look lonely. I can fix that. The gym is literally there. But now, dude, and I don't know if it's just because I've started running or what, but hybrid athlete, and I'm seeing it in my head, and I'm like, that's next, like, because trends come back around, or they're late to get to. This one, I'm calling it by 2024. Like that's gonna be the thing. Like no more gym rat, no more gym. Like it's gonna be how to be a hybrid athlete this, hybrid athlete that, and that's gonna be what people in 2024 are like. That's what they're gonna want to do.
Did you ever what's it called, the CPAT? Did you ever get to do the CPAT for the fire department? Or have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, and I've watched videos on it. That's where you start on the Stairmaster with is it a weighted vest?
Yeah.
Right. And for like 20 minutes or how long?
I can't remember the time frame, but it's like, you got a weighted vest, and they'll put like extra weights on you, and then they take those off, and then you start to do your...
Then you do the course.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen YouTube videos on it. I've never had the pleasure, you know?
So it's like you get to see these guys who are like, they look like they can tear the course apart.
Because they're jacked.
They're huge, and then they just crumble. So it's like, all muscle, no show, or like all show and like no effort, whatever.
Right.
But it's like you see the skinny guys, kind of like our build, who then like you don't perceive us as actually being like naturally strong. And like, yeah, granted, I'll never be the strongest guy in the room, but
you never know.
Then it's like, oh wow, like we can excel at that.
They did better than what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it too, is why I've changed kind of like my weightlifting training, because it's like, okay, I'm strong and I look strong, but it's like, what's more important? And at the beginning, or I say the beginning, but maybe like a year and a half, 2 years into it, it was all about my appearance. It's like, okay, I was like 115 pounds, and I'm up to right now, like I fluctuate between 155, 160. Granted, I still look skinny, but it's more meat on my bones than I've ever had. But it was all about how I looked, and it was like, very like I said, like more contraction training, lighter weight, just getting a pump and looking good. I'm taking a picture in the mirror, like, okay, like I've got a nice pump, and like loving how I looked. But then
look good, feel good.
Right. But now it's more of like a actually be strong, feel good kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because if I lost a little bit of size due to doing something I love, like running, like that's okay. Because I am strong. Yeah. And so that's where you have to draw the line of like, do I want to look good, or do I want to be the guy that craps out on the CPAP, or do I want to actually
perform,
get through it, And the way you explain that about how like they like our build, it's like we don't look like we'll be good at it, but then we blow people out of the water. That's like what I guess millennials would call like a sleeper build. Like you just got a regular t-shirt on, and then like your t-shirt comes up and it's like, whoa, he's more jacked than I thought. And then with the running and everything, it's like you could really blow some people out of the water. It's like, holy moly, their endurance, their cardio, their stamina.
I mean, that's the same thing for like a lot of the military special operations guys. It's like you see these guys and they're like, they don't look anything like over the top. They don't look like these monstrous.
They look like they're in shape.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they're in shape, but they're just like, well, they look like average athletic guys. But then it's like, man, they can ruck with a 50, 60 pound backpack on them for like 12 plus miles at a certain pace. They can just kill because they're just honed.
Yeah,
and it's not like huge muscles. And granted, like, yeah, that does help. And like some of these guys are bigger, but a lot of them are just these lean machines.
You've got to, I always tell people, because I've taken maybe like one or two people, I introduced them to the gym and kind of got them going in it. Kind of showed them what I knew. I've gone and worked out alongside of them and sort of just tried to help them. And what I've always explained to them is that you have to do what you want, but you also have to be able to adapt.
Right.
It's like, what's your goal? Because people be like, hey, like, how many sets do you do? I'm like, well, just because I'm OCD and weird, it's like 4 sets. Simple. Just do 4 sets of everything. But that may not work for you. So, like, that's the part when you get in the gym, that'd be, like, what you have to discover yourself.
Right.
Because I could tell you, like, the reps I do and the sets I do. But if you're trying to, like, say you're chubbier and you want to lose some weight, it's like, what I do isn't going to work. Because there's just so many ways to do things.
Yeah, different game plans. Absolutely.
And so that's where I have to draw the line. It's like, it kind of sucks because you bring somebody into it, you show them everything, and then you kind of kick them out and hope their wings are ready. It's like
baby
all right,
birds got to fly.
Yeah, you got to figure it out from here. And like you said, YouTube, that helped me a lot in the weight training, and I definitely need to be YouTubing more running stuff.
That's like all I watch now.
Dude, you
because it's like I want to be like those days that you don't want to run and you just like watch them like Goggins, or you watch some kind of like Goggins gym motivation.
Wild. Yeah,
he's another animal.
Yeah, well, we need to get him on the podcast.
I'm a little too small for that. But yeah, like back to running or anything. Like, have you gotten like running shoes yet? Like
yes,
good running shoes, not just kind of like off the.
I went to the Big Peach. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
absolutely. I went there, got fitted. Kind of was talking to the lady about like, hey, I get shin splints because I was in recruit school. I was running, like I said, never ran. A lot of it was my form, but also I was running in like a pair of, not that New Balances are bad, but they weren't designed to be good New Balance running shoes. You know what I mean? They were more of like a look cool kind of thing.
And but on top of that too, you're running on concrete versus asphalt. There's a difference.
The training center track is asphalt.
A lot of it's concrete.
Oh, concrete.
That light gray. Like behind you, like that. It's denser. than asphalt on the road. That's why you see like potholes and everything. Like it gets more malleable in the summertime, then it kind of gets rutted out, and then you start getting those potholes.
Okay, yeah.
The black is softer than the light gray concrete. It's weird, but it's like it does make a difference.
I wouldn't even think of that. Yeah, I wouldn't have.
So if you have the option of running on the road versus the sidewalk, I take the road. But I run against traffic. I like to see my enemy coming at me.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I guess the park, like the sidewalk, or like that's straight concrete, I guess. So
use what you got,
right?
Obviously.
For me, it was a lot of heel striking, and I was taking too big of, so I was heel striking, and my feet were either too far in front of me or too far behind me. So I was getting I still got them, these massive knots of just like shin splints. I'll explain that to the lady, and she's like, "Well, are you running with your feet under you?" And I'm like,
"Did she put you on the treadmill and like record you?" Yeah,
recorded me, and I ended up getting down between pair of Brooks and something else. I can't remember the name. Saucony?
Yeah,
I think so. Were the two. But every shoe I tried on, I felt like was just so cushiony. Like Hoka. I'm gonna probably get canceled for that, but Hoka is so squishy. Like the sole is so high, and I just felt like I was bouncing almost, but it felt like too much, because it's like you need to feel the ground a little bit. So I ended up going with a pair of Glycerin 20s Brooks.
Okay.
And it was the perfect like heel support and just a good mix. It just worked for me.
For you,
it worked for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm definitely open to. I kind of want to try other brands too, just to see, because you never know. Because what if there's something else and it's like, wow, like I know Asics is good, and I know.
I got Mizuno's.
Never heard of those Mizuno's.
And they're at the same Big Peach place.
Okay. How would you describe those versus like what's their thing? Everybody's got a thing.
I don't know how to describe them. They just work for me.
Okay. Well,
it's kind of like whatchamacallit, like chefs and like wine, and they're like, oh, it has this aroma of this, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's just what you like.
Good.
Yeah, it's just what you like.
Good.
Yeah.
No, but like a couple years ago, I had this is probably like 4+ years ago now. I'd always just gone to like Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever, and I'm like, those shoes look cool, and I try them on, and like, they feel good, and out the door. This time I was like, I don't care what brand it is, I don't care what color it is, I don't care what it looks like, get me in the right shoe. And she's like, I got you. And I started trying on a bunch of them, and it was the Mizuno for me.
Okay,
and
I need to do a little bit of research on those. I'm not familiar.
So, but that's been the biggest game changer, is like actually having a shoe that like works best for me, and like having somebody who was like recording you and like knows what they're talking about. Like,
right, that was a cool experience.
Yes,
and it makes you feel like,
okay, I'm taking this seriously.
Yeah, it not only am I taking this seriously, but it's like these people really genuinely care, like, because they don't want you to spend your money on like, well, they want you to spend your money, but they want you to be happy with your purchase, and like, that was what was cool. And another thing, this is kind of off topic, but it'll all click. Never tried running gels, like to eat.
The nutrition part of it.
Right,
yeah.
The nutrition part. So being there and seeing like the wall of gels, I was like, again, to reference Blade Runner, I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, whoa. I was like, people. And I was like, I never thought about that, because you run for so long, it's like you need something. And I've been training without. Like I've only ran up to 8 miles. But I was like, I wonder, like when I'm dying on mile 6, like how good it would be just to be like, you know what I mean? Just,
dude, I've totally noticed the difference between like the days before I started doing the gels and like the hydrating while running versus now. And it's like, school of YouTube again. It's like these guys are like, I'm hydrating every 15 minutes and I'm taking a gel every 30. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
So it's like not only just like practicing it like now, getting ready for game day or race day, but practicing like running while eating, or eating while running. Sorry, and it's not the easiest thing to like. You're breathing hard and you're trying to suck this gel out of there, and then you're like, trying to catch your breath for a second. So I mean, like, dude, I look at my watch and I'm like, okay, it's time to drink. Take a couple sips, move on. And then the gel, it's like I got this little waistband thing.
Do you have
like,
a belt?
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah, I have a belt.
And it's got 4 of them in there, 4 little pockets.
Okay.
And dude, I'll just tear one open and like put the little thing in my pocket, the excess, and just kind of take a couple slurps or just kind of scrape it out of there. But I tried the was it the honey stinger?
Mm-hmm. Those look the most like that seems like the top dog just based off appearance. It seems like those are like the most trendy ones.
I've had the little waffle things before.
Oh, the crisps, yeah. I've seen those as well.
I used to do those like mountain biking. It's like you take like a little break and you eat a couple of those and like you're ready to go back out there. And I love honey. But I tried the honey one. I almost threw up while running.
Well, that's good to know then, because I don't.
But I mean, that's just like my personal opinion. It's like I know somebody out there loves it. But for me, I was struggling that last like half. I was like,
well, I trust your judgment, but I'll still give it a shot. Just to see, just to
but
see
I got
what we can come up with.
the fruit punch or the fruit smoothie one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the tastiest thing in the world, but I mean, like it's good.
It gets the job done. It works.
It's got carbs, it's got sodium, and it's got some electrolytes in there, and it just keeps you going.
Huh. I know this is your podcast, but I have a question for you.
No, go for it.
So, as far as what is the most important, I guess, ingredient when it comes to running? Like I've heard you say like electrolytes, carbs, sodium. Like what is the one that you would like preach the most if you could? Or if you could only have like one before a run, during a run, like what's the most
carbs or sodium?
Yeah.
Or like you gotta have both though.
Right. Okay.
That's the thing.
Well,
it all depends too. It's like how much of like a sweater you are.
Okay.
So like if you're not sweating out that much, like dude, like I like freaking pouring sweat. So I'm like I'm just depleting myself of like all that all those electrolytes. So it's like I need to be putting that stuff back into me.
Right.
Water is just it's just not enough.
Do you drink while you run?
Yeah.
Okay,
so I got like a little. It's not a hard one. It's like a little soft flask, and it goes in the belt. There's like a
in
big
the back.
Yeah.
Is it curved?
No, it's just floppy.
I'll have to. I didn't. Bring
I'll
mine.
show you later.
Okay, I didn't bring mine. I have one like that, but it's like off of Amazon. It's kind of shaped like this.
Okay.
And it goes around my back. It's 11 ounces of water.
Okay.
That's usually what I carry, but I've been trying to train myself to not drink as much.
Don't do that.
No.
Dude, drink often.
Right.
Like the whole 15-minute thing. It's like, so the other day, like when I did the half marathon, I'm running on these roads and like, it's not like an actual race. So it's not like there's water stations out there. So like my wife is out on the side of the road at like the 6 mile marker and she's just like, here you go. And like we kind of do a little swap off and I keep going.
Yeah. That's cool.
Dude, huge shout out to her. She's been like super supportive of me this whole time. And
that's awesome.
I like, hey, I need you to do this. She's just like, I'm on it. Like the other day, like, dude, we went down, we had a doctor's appointment, came back. I drank like a ton of coffee that morning and get back and we had already had lunch and I was like kind of doing like a little pre-run checks and everything. And I was like, all right, I don't have to go to the bathroom. Like I'm good to go. Kind of like test yourself a little bit and kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'm good. Start getting in 37 minutes in. I was like, oh my God. It just hit me.
Yeah.
I like called her. I was like, I need you to pick me up now.
Oh my God.
And she came down and she like picked me up and drove me back to the house. And like, dude, I had to like run into the bathroom. Like I was like, my stomach was killing me.
Dude, that's the worst. That's only happened to me once so far. And it is not fun.
She's awesome. She's been there for me the entire time.
Dude, heck yeah.
But yeah, the nutrition part, man, like it is a game changer.
Oh yeah. Well, that's again,
it's like the pregame and then like building up for those long runs, like those like carb load in the days before. And I'm like being mindful of, God, even the other night she wanted Chick-fil-A and it could have been so easy for me just to like get Chick-fil-A, but I had already meal prepped. I already had dinner waiting for me. And I was like, I'll just eat my meal. Because I knew it was
discipline, man.
Yeah, it was less calories, but man, it did look tasty.
Yeah, it's hard to. That's the worst part, man. And that is something that I guess I was hoping wouldn't carry over from like the gym and like trying to be in a calorie surplus versus a deficit. And obviously carbs are important in the gym, but the reason I asked you that question is because there's the hydration portion, there's the carb portion, there's just so much.
And there's a lot to it, and I mean I'm still figuring it out.
Oh yeah, you and me both. I have no clue what I'm like nutrition wise. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like, obviously I have knowledge about like the carbs and like hydration and stuff, but
dude, I'm just a huge copycat. Like, dude, what I see online, and I'm just like, all right, I'll try that out.
Yeah,
like, I'm just watching like Nick Bear, like, what does he eat for breakfast? And he's like, I just eat like a bagel, some cream cheese. He's like, he loves his honey like I do. And I'm like, okay, I'll try that out. And just sourdough bread, put a little cream cheese, drizzle some honey on it.
That sounds
eat
good.
a banana.
That sounds good. Dang.
Hey, it's tasty. It's got those carbs in it, and it gets you going. So just kind of figure out what works for you, and like know that like, okay, the recovery days, like they're not as important nutrition wise, I would say, compared to like pre-gaming, like, for like those,
for the
distance, tempo, the speed run, and the long run.
Okay.
Because those are the ones that you want to like really start to like what they call like those glycogen stores. Like start building them up, have them big surplus of them, so that way you could tap into them for those runs. Dude, there's just so much science behind it. It's crazy. But I mean, just find what works for you. Like, try something. Like you said, like when you go to the gym, like you find like a machine, like try it twice. Like, hey, this breakfast works for me. All right, cool. Because, dude, when I was first starting it out, I was all about like fasted running. Like, dude, I was doing like 8 miles completely empty stomach. Dude, I would be drained afterwards. Like, I'd get back to the couch and I'm just like, ugh.
Day wasted. You're done.
Like, yeah, because I just like, I've depleted everything out of my body. Wow. But now it's like, okay, I know I need to eat breakfast. And I know I need, so it's like I have like that morning coffee, and then like you start to eat some breakfast, and then like you go to the bathroom, you do all your stuff and do your dynamic stretching, and then go for the run. And it's just noticing a huge change in.
Well, that's good to know going forward, just because like hearing your experience with it and everything, and really realizing like this is why I was like, I need to reach out to this guy, because
I'm glad you did.
You have
like,
knowledge.
This is cool.
Yeah, this is awesome, because I never have ran empty stomached, because I was just like, I don't know if that's a good idea. What's working for me right now is Greek yogurt, like a bowl of yogurt. It's like I've been able to keep down, but this is probably so ridiculous to admit, but one morning I had McDonald's for breakfast, and I was like, okay,
that stuff is trash.
Yeah, I know, it's awful. I had McDonald's and I had a coffee, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait like 45 minutes to an hour, just getting all my, like you said, like pre-checks, like, all right, got my water bottle, got my belt, got my headphones, I got my keys, everything I need ready to go. And maybe mile 3, mile 4, you just felt like crap. And I was like, okay, like that did not work for me. And obviously I don't know if it works for anybody, but that's when I started to realize, like, okay, it is very, very important what I do eat before the run.
I mean, I'm sure you were eating a very strict meal plan when you were working out in the gym. So it's like, why change that for running?
Right. That's the thing with, I guess, I was, I would eat what I could, because at the time I was living like in my own apartment and stuff, so wasn't the best cook, wasn't working for the fire station yet. So that's the thing. You said there's a lot of science behind running. The world of the gym, there's like science people, then there's like old school people, and they don't mesh well. Like, they don't like each other. So what I mean by that is people will be like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger did this, and like this is how he trained. And back in the day, like, they didn't have all this science and knowledge of calories, and so calories were calories. So people back in the day, they would, I'm sure, professionals, like the professional bodybuilders, had a diet and a schedule. But there were people back in the day that calories were calories. And there's this trendy guy right now named Sam Sulek, and he eats like 2 Wendy's spicy chicken sandwiches and goes to the gym. And I mean, he's 21 years old, and he's on a lot of steroids, but he's like, calories are calories. But then there are people like JPG that are science, very like study focused. They're like, hey, this is what works. And then this guy is like, okay, science lifter, you're under 200 pounds, like you're literally irrelevant. And it's just these groups of people colliding.
Yeah.
So
there's always going to be differing opinions,
right? Of course. But I've noticed with running, there's it's very science. It's very like factually proven. This is what works. This is what you need to do, and that's so much nicer. You know what I mean? Because in the gym, you're like, well, this guy's like lean and he's jacked and he's not on steroids and he's talking about science. And then you've got this guy, claiming natural or natty. It's like, oh, he's natty or he's natural. So you're like, crap. Like, it's working for this guy, but he might be on steroids. And then the science, it's like, it's working for this guy, but he may be on steroids as well. So it's like, but with running, it's like, I don't know, or I've not come across anyone that is on steroids. You know what I mean? People that run, they're just runners. And they look good and they do their thing. So there's not as much noise. It's just like very science forward, and I like that a lot about running for sure.
Yeah. Gear wise, like have you gotten? You said you got like the belt and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've kind of like touched on like the shoes and like the nutrition and everything. Like gear, like have you bought in anything specific to running yet?
I just got the shoes and I just got socks.
Okay.
So, I get like, it's like Brooks Ghost Light running socks. I just
have normal athletic socks right now.
Yeah. I was just doing some research and apparently like I was running in Nike socks and the cotton is like, it makes blistering more common and my feet were blistering. So I was like,
dude,
okay.
like my toes are like peeling all in between and,
yeah, dude. I don't know what the material is though, but I'm a long sock guy, like I like to, not long like up to my knees, but like I like higher socks. So wearing these, I've got them on right now. It's like these little low ankle socks. I'm like, gosh, that looks, I have the tan line and everything, but they're really comfy and they make my feet feel very like breathable, I guess, when I'm running. Nice. So that's definitely good. But gear wise, the shoes, the belt, the water bottle.
What kind of belt did you get? Just curious.
It's just like something off of Amazon, just something called a flip belt.
Okay. No, I heard of it.
Just slide it up. It's got a little hook for your keys if you run with your keys. And then the compatible like 11-ounce water bottle. So I usually slide my phone in the front, my water bottle in the back, and obviously we've talked about how I'm not doing the gels yet. I haven't gotten the pleasure to try those. So when I do get my gels, I'm gonna have to make some arrangements or make them all in my side pocket because I have the 4 slits as well, like the front, the 2 sides, and the back.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd love to see yours and just see how your kind of setup is and see if there's something that could be more beneficial,
It was funny because it was like, you hear people and they're like, dude, you don't need anything to run. Like you could just go out the door, just get yourself a pair of shoes. And then it's like, the reality is like, if you want to do something good, you got to start buying more stuff. And it's like, okay, now you get shoes. And then it's like, crap, now I'm hitting longer distances. Now I need a belt. And now I need a way to like, carry water.
You don't think about that stuff. Nobody thinks about that stuff. And what I just found out maybe a week ago is rotating shoes. Have you heard of that?
Yes. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah,
I'm
not there
that's
yet.
Another pair of shoes. Like,
yeah, because our running shoes, I was about to say, our running shoes are not, oh, look, they're on sale for $50 at the outlet store. No, they're like $150, $200. I mean, I don't know how much your shoe. My shoes, when I bought them, it was like $150, $160. I was like, God.
I think that's what mine were.
Yeah, that's about the.
They're not cheap.
No, but you feel a difference though.
But then you get into like the race day shoes versus normal training shoes, and like those are like 200 plus.
Oh, is that where the carbon plating comes? I was just. I know about.
I haven't jumped up to that level yet.
I think somebody told me you switch your shoes every like, depending on the shoe, like 300 to 500 miles, and I'm like,
I've heard 200 to 300.
Really?
Yeah.
200 to 3. Okay, well that's.
So I'm about to burn out a brand new pair of shoes.
Right.
Apparently,
and I'm scared. I'm like, okay, well, what if I run out? What if I burn my shoes out, and then the race day comes, and I'm running in shoes that aren't, broken in yet? Because you got to break them in a little bit. So, yeah, like, this is just what I'm saying. Like, that's all that stuff that people don't think about that gets added. I don't even know what carbon plating does for your shoe. So, like, the race day shoe, I haven't gotten to that yet. That's something you definitely have more knowledge over than me about the race day shoe.
I've just looked into it, and it seems like it doesn't – a majority of them that I've noticed is they don't lay flat on the ground. Like, they're kind of like a –
seesaw?
Yeah, like one portion is like sitting on the ground and the other one's just kind of like floating up in the air. Like it's contour, almost kind of like a heel, like women's heels.
Okay.
And it gets designed that way, and like that carbon plate's got a curve to it, so when you hit it, it springs you up. It propels you forward. So like there's these shoes called I think they're Nike, the Vaporfly percent next percent 2 or something like that. Like, dude, they were actually banned illegal out of a lot of races. Shoes.
How?
Banned illegal.
I guess
but I mean what they're getting at is like they were so expensive compared to other shoes that they had like all this brand new technology in them that the average runner could not get or afford, that it was starting to give a unfair advantage.
Like a pay to win, kind of.
Yep. It was giving an unfair advantage because it was like propelling people forward. But I mean, I've seen other YouTube videos, and guys are talking about like, yeah, like I run in my normal pair of shoes. It's like $50 off of Walmart, and then I run in these things, and like I'm 3 seconds faster. Like it's not that big of a deal,
right?
So it's like you got some people who are like, dude, this is cheating. This is totally unfair, and then you got other guys who are like, it's barely any difference at all. So it's really just kind of like, I think it comes down to training. It's just like, how well are you preparing for it? How well are you training? Is your nutrition on point? Because some guys are like, oh, you got to eat all this, you got to do this. And then it's like Eliud Kipchoge, the dude who's like destroying records right now for marathons. He eats a bowl of oatmeal, plain old oatmeal, before a race.
See, so maybe that is some of that science versus just traditional. Because there's people out there, I'm sure. Like
he's super lean too.
Okay.
So I mean, like, God, he's probably like $125, $130. I don't know, but I mean, like, he's a very lean guy. Like, he doesn't have a lot of muscle on him compared to somebody like Nick Bear, who's jacked. You obviously got to eat different for different body types.
I wonder how he eats to maintain all that muscle, but also prep, I tried to say at the same time, for his longer runs, because he's obviously hitting his protein.
Like, you should watch his like food in a day or meals for a day videos, and you're like, oh my God, this
thousands of dollars.
Well, not thousands of dollars, just like thousands of calories.
Right.
Like, he's just like eating so much food, and then of course like he's got his own supplement company, so he's like, well, I'm taking 6 pills of this, 2 pills of this, and I'm doing 1 of this, 1 scoop of this, 1 scoop of this, 2 scoops of this, and he's got all these supplements that of course like he gives them for free because it's his company,
right?
But the average guy's like, God, I can't afford all of that.
And that's something that I've been talking with my buddy about. I'm like, how much time? Like, you draw a line, because it's like, I enjoy this, but at what point does it become unenjoyable? And like, that's kind of where I was at with the gym, with taking my creatine, hitting 1.5 or 1 pound of protein per body weight, and you're increasing body weight. It's like okay, like when you start to tack all these things on, it becomes, like you said yourself, you're like, some days like running, it's not fun, because there's so many things that go into it, and it's like, where do you draw the line of how much time do I want to put into this, and what am I trying to get out of this? Because you get in what you put out.
Right. But I mean, like, if you got a goal,
right,
you got to sacrifice sometimes the days that you don't want to do it, or
that's the days you need to do it.
Exactly. Or the days that it's like, oh, I could easily I'm in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru and I could easily get a meal for myself, but no, I need to stick to my plan.
I need to, right.
So it's like, if you want something bad enough, and like right now it's like, dude, I'm like fully committed to this.
It's like an obsession.
It does.
You're fixated.
If you want to do something, like, other people are going to look at you like you're obsessed or like as a maniac, but
they don't get it.
They don't get it.
They don't understand. And
I mean, that could be for running or retiring early, or
the gym, weightlifting,
the gym,
your physique,
moving up the career field, the ladder, whatever. Like, it's like, if you want it, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the work. No one else is going to do it for you. No excuses. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's I'm going to butcher it. There's a quote, and it's like, nobody cares until you win, so just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's very moving, and it's the truth. Like, why do we listen to all these people on you said it yourself, you're like, YouTube, it's like your go-to, right? It's like, we listen to these people because we see them, they're doing it, they've done it, so that's why we're like, oh, okay, since he's done this, I'm gonna retain that. But like, someone that versus somebody that hasn't, you're like, so it doesn't matter until you win, so you might as well just do it.
Yeah.
So that's where Like right now, the race, I'm like obsessed. Like I told you, it's like I don't care if I pick up another dumbbell or I don't care if I lift another weight until I get through. Like I'll be running, dude, and like how obsessed I am with it right now, I'll tell you is like I'll be running and I'll think like I've never even been to Chickamauga. I've never seen the course. I've never done anything like that. I don't even know what the finish line's gonna look like, but I've got an idea in my head, right? And like I'll be running and I'll be picturing the finish line and every single hair on my body just stands up, like boom, like literally goosebumps. And that's how like fixated I am on it. It's, I'm like I gotta run, gotta go do this, gotta do this, and I need to tap into that nutrition aspect for sure, but so that I can just get the most out of it, you know?
Yeah. It's like when you start to like fuel yourself correctly, then it's like you start to feel better, you start to perform better. And like Grant, dude, like I don't have anything completely dialed down by any means. It's just like I'm slowly figuring it out. And it's like, yeah, I was like a natural runner beforehand, but now it's like now that I'm like really paying attention to it and like I'm putting in the effort to it, I'm learning so much.
Yes, because there's, how do I explain this? You're familiar with like the term of like somebody being like an NPC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are like NPC people in the gym.
Yeah, non-playable characters.
Right. Yeah. Like they're there. And like, okay, like
they're not even the main character in their own life.
Well, they have like, say, I mean, I'm not putting anybody down for using a certain amount of weight, but say a guy like our build, you know, he's just curling like 10s. It's like, you know, you could do more than that, but it like you can almost see them in their head. They're like 1, 2, 10. Okay, done, and they just walk to the next thing. But then you have the people that are like really pushing themselves and struggling, and like you said, the days you don't want to run, that's the days you need to do it the most. When the reps, like when you're doing it and it's hurting the most, like that's what's giving you that muscle growth. That's what's depleting your muscles. Like that's the most important. When it gets hard and it gets uncomfortable, that's the most important.
Yeah.
And having that knowledge going into running has been amazing. Because it's so hard with running. I've explained this to my family, my girlfriend, my friends. You can just stop. You know what I mean? There is no, if you're benching and you drop, you just stop. You know, you're going to hurt yourself. Running, any second, you're just like, what? Like, ow, I'm going to stop. But for me, it's like if I stop, I'm like, oh, ran 6 miles and stopped. Like, I'm bad. Like, it's okay to pause your workout and catch a breather if you need it. But with my goal for this race being, I don't want to stop. I like won't let myself. I'm like, nope. Like
I mean, if you don't have a time
right,
like a time limit in mind, then just like, dude, just slow down.
Right.
Like, don't stop, obviously, for you, but like, just slow down. Like, lighten that pace up a little bit. And it's like, okay, catch your breath and anything. It's like, all right, cool. Now I'm gonna pick it back up a little bit for a while.
Well, and I guess I could ask, what is a good half marathon time? Like, what's an average and versus
that's
like
subjective. It's so
that's
subjective.
fair, but
because like, dude, like right now I'm just trying to do a sub 4 hour marathon.
Okay.
So it's like these guys who are preaching like 15-minute hydrate, 30-minute gels or food, whatever like that. They're running these like 2:15s, 2:30s, and then I'm out there an hour and a half longer than them. Like, I mean, there's people out there that like, dude, it's like 5.5, 6 hours. And props to the people who are like running for 6 hours versus the guy who's like, yeah, I mean, they're totally two different feats. It's just like everybody's got their own battle. It's like, but 2 hours of super hard effort for like Kipchoge versus 6 hours of grueling work, just keeping moving for like that mom, that dad, that this is like their first marathon, or even that person is just trying to get into it. Like, props to them. Like, dude, everybody's got their own battle. So like the whole time thing, dude, it's completely subjective.
Right.
And I mean, you see some stuff. It's like, what's a respectable time? What's a this? What's a that? And I mean, like right now, it's like, okay, I did a half marathon in 2:11. I think it was the other day, something like that. So
well, I mean, do you recall your average pace?
Dude, it's so hard, like up here for me, because it's like I got all these hills that sometimes I like when it flattens out. Yeah, dude, I'm running like 8.5s, but then like the hills,
that's crazy.
I'm like running 11s.
Right.
And it just like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, it's completely subjective.
I've seen
just run your race.
Right.
God, I think it was like Epictetus said like, be in a race where you're the only competitor.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally took that. I'm like, all right, this is my race.
You took that and wrote it down, and you're like, I can make something work.
Yeah.
And that's
so
cool.
I'm running my own race. Like, there's nobody else out there. I'm not competing against anybody but myself. I'm not going to get a medal at the end of it. I'm not going to get some crowds cheering for me. It's me against me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a very respectful thing to do. I told you that the first time I talked to you on the phone, I was like, dude, that's nuts. Because I wouldn't say I'm doing it for a medal or like a T-shirt or anything. I'm just kind of doing it to prove myself.
Yeah.
But that's my plan, and I don't know if I should do this, but I'm kind of wanting to do that as well. I kind of want to run 13.1 miles one day just to see if I can do it. That way it's like, see what time I get. And it's like, okay, just have something to try to beat. But if I don't do that, I'm just going to run it and just enjoy it. And then that way next race, I have something to go off of. And I shouldn't care about other people's times. I should just care about what I got and then try to beat that.
For this one, if you've never ran that far before, like, one, get on the plan. Like, get on a plan. And, like, obviously you're going to have to, like, jump up to where you are in your timeline. So, like, if you're like, what, a month out now? 4 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. Skip to 4 weeks and just start doing that. Yeah. So, like, I'll show you when we get off and everything.
Okay,
like, we'll get it all set up and just start doing that, dude. And run your half marathon. And then the next time, okay, we're going to run another half marathon. Well, now I got a time to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't push yourself early now and risk working too hard, injuring yourself. Because it's like, dude, I'm pretty sure at this point, I could run the marathon. It's like a lot of it is mental. It's just pushing through.
It's like when people say your mind will crap out before your body does.
Yeah, so like last week, the half marathon I did, well, this week, it's just 2 hours. There's no distance. It's just, no matter how far you run, it's like, I've just got to do 2 hours. Like, that's almost kind of more mental. Like, oh my God. Like, I've been running this far. It's like, I still got 30 minutes.
That was a big tip.
Not like, oh, I only got a mile left.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a way, like I said, I've been watching Cody and his Cody Trains channel to talk about like his training for the Ironman and stuff, and his coach would have him, it's like a 90-minute run.
Yeah.
And when you look at it as like a time thing, for some reason, that's not, to me, it's not as bad.
Oh, for me, that's worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, I guess because I was so hyper-focused on like the speed and my pace and like wanting to do good, but when I'm like, hey, you know what, I just got to run for like this amount of time and like whatever I get is whatever I get.
Yeah, but that 30 minutes versus 2 hours is different.
That's true. But it's all work in progress, and I'm very glad to be like a part of this, and I'm very excited to see like what comes forward. But since the last time I talked to you versus now, I was very stressed about managing the weights and stuff, but I just go do the weights for pure enjoyment, and if I gain anything out of it, cool. You know, obviously there are benefits to strength training that can help running, and with running being my goal, it's like I need that. So I'm like, okay, like this is still a necessity.
Maybe start shifting from like hypertrophy to endurance based. Just that lighter weight and just doing 20, 30, 50 reps versus just that 8 or 10, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind getting just a little bit muscle growth. I'm not concerned because I was kind of like trying to bulk, like just gaining weight. Didn't care if I lost like my abs or lost any shreddedness I had. I was like, I just want to get some weight. And then a lot of people bulk and then they cut, so that way they have the size, they keep their muscle size, but then they're super shredded to the bone. And for me, that was the goal for a long time. Like, just put on as much size as I can. It's obviously hard. My metabolism is crazy, dude. Like, it'll
slow down when you get older.
My dad is like, shut up. Enjoy that. Like, shut up. And I'm like, okay. So then that's another thing too, to kind of get off topic. It's like you gotta work with what you have. And like, if you have a high metabolism, it's like maybe instead of trying to fight it, you should just try to train along with it.
Dude, in my early 20s, like I was doing landscaping during the day. I was mountain biking and running in the afternoon. I was like as dialed in as like I thought I was, or as I could be back in the time that it happened. And I was like, dude, I was down to like 5-6% body fat. And I was like, I want abs. Like that was my goal. I was like, I want abs. And it still just never happened. Like I was just like, what the hell?
I guess it's a lot of genetic, because I was that kid like on field day. People are like, I'm like, probably not even like considered a teenager, like 10, 11, 12. And I've just always had like the dimension for it, but I was always skinny. Like my wrist would like make up everything. And so for me, I was like, okay, that's got to go. And I'm very pleased with where I'm at right now, considering the amount of time I'm giving it. But I'm not saying I want to be Nick Bear running, you know what I mean? Like a gorilla, like humongous. But I would definitely love to. My legs have gotten bigger running than training, which is interesting. Like I have definition in like the side of my legs, and I'm like, what? Because I was doing like 2 leg days a week, but I guess I wasn't really pushing myself that hard, or something wasn't right, obviously.
Right. Cool.
But it is awesome, dude. This is all, like I said, it's scary, but it's been good so far.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So each podcast I try and like wrap it up with like a like an advice thing.
Okay.
So like it could be any topic. Like what would be your advice to the world?
I guess the best thing I could say is kind of what I spoke on in the beginning. If you have something that you're like, oh, I'm just not good at that, and you just kind of put it off, like challenge yourself, like try it, because you may fall in love with it. Because I'm telling you, for years, I was like, oh, I'm not a distance runner. Like even freshman year of high school, I was like, oh no, I don't run far. I run fast. And then I die in the grass, you know. I'm like 200 meters done. I would say if there's something that you've been putting off or something you're scared of, just try it, because I'm living proof that I tried something I quote unquote hated and was terrible at, and it's been so eye-opening and so game-changing. I love it so much. So, nice. and if there's something that you're scared to try, like taking the effort and the time to try it is better than not. You know what I mean? Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Just give it a shot, even if you're scared.
Go for it.
Yep, absolutely.
All
Full
right.
send.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Dude, thank you for having me. It was awesome. Oh, yeah, we're about to run. Let's do it.
All right. Well, bye, everybody.
All right, bye. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please follow us on your favorite podcast app, hit that bell for notifications on new episodes, and please share with a friend. Thank you for all the support so far. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.